Well, hello again, everybody. This is John Norris at Trading Perspectives. As always, we have our very good friends, Sam Clement and Courtney Trust. Y'all say hello.
How's it
Hey.
going?
I'm doing fantastically. Thank you for asking, Sam. You know, I will tell you, though, however, I started to get a little anxious this week, and I think Courtney did too, but I'm going to tell you why I was anxious, because Beth and I started talking about Christmas and wanted to make sure that we started knocking off Christmas gifts and all that stuff. And I generally don't get into the Christmas spirit, if you will, until after Thanksgiving, but here we are. It's been moving up every year, and now we're talking about Black Friday sales all month long during the month of November, and people are freaking out about the supply chain and all that good stuff. So I've gone ahead and started doing a little bit of shopping. And Courtney, I mean, you were at the store, was it yesterday, and you started seeing, what did you see there?
Yeah, so I went to the store and I really had two things I needed to get, and that was all I was planning on buying.
What were those things?
Beans and headphones for kids, right? So, you know, just making sure, okay, it's focused. And then I started noticing the toy section, and it seemed like a lot of people were in line getting things, and there were a couple deals that I was like, oh, you know, am I going to be able to get stuff for Christmas? And it started making me nervous, where I was like, I better go ahead and start buying things. And I bought things that I probably wouldn't have normally bought, because I typically like to chase a sale. But now I'm like, I don't care about waiting until Black Friday. I'd rather pay the extra $5 and make sure I have something for my kids at Christmas than to have nothing because I can't get it in time. Which, you know, I've run into it, you know, prior years where maybe I was too close on the shipping deadline and I received it after Christmas. But now with everything on the news, I don't want to chance it.
Yeah, I mean, Sam, have all this news, all this discussion, and we've talked about supply chain disruptions, and I mean, heck, we're talking about people not being, there's not going to be stuff for the holiday shopping season. Has this impacted your holiday shopping thoughts?
No, this has not impacted mine at all. But I get it. I get what Courtney's talking about, and you do see people, and it's not even just about getting gifts for Christmas. I mean, we saw this at the beginning of COVID last year with, you know, paper goods in, and now it's becoming gifts because we're at Christmas time. But that's just how humans are, you know. As soon as people start to fear for something, they really believe it into existence. It's a snowball effect of getting worse, you know. If there is a fear of a supply chain issue and not enough, say, toys coming in, people start buying them all up, and then there actually is an issue and nobody can get it anymore. Yeah. So I think it's a case of that. But to me, I haven't really seen it yet.
Do you all see it affecting the market in a positive way, that we might have a better fourth quarter than maybe they've projected, just based off people frantically buying more than what they maybe need?
That could happen, Courtney, as people sort of front-end load a lot of their shopping in November prior to Thanksgiving in fear of not having stuff for Christmas, and then all of a sudden realizing maybe the supply chain disruption isn't quite as bad as people had feared, and so a little extra money goes out towards the end of the shopping season. So, I mean, people could end up having more in their stockings here this year.
No, I definitely, it's easy to imagine that happening, especially I think you add on top of the fears and people wanting to make sure they have stuff by the holiday season, and then you add on top of that how robust the economy is right now and how many people are doing so well compared to where they were even 12 months ago. So to imagine people already being in a better spot and then having a fear of not being able to get enough and being more comfortable going out and spending a little more, I think it's very easy to imagine us having very good retail sales, or just retail sales as a whole, this quarter and going forward into Christmas season.
To that point, you just said, you know, people are doing better financially, and maybe people haven't been spending it on travel. Maybe, you know, with COVID restrictions, there might still be people who are hesitant to do that. Do you think that larger priced items, or more expensive items, we might see a higher number of those things being purchased just based off there being more money to spend?
Well, that could very easily be the case. However, I don't anticipate that's going to be a widespread trend throughout the entire economy. Certainly, the upper quartile and the top 10% will always buy those higher priced items. I would imagine, however, at Christmas time, if my eyeballs are any sort of judge of what happens during the holiday shopping season, people load up with a bunch of crap and just make sure that there's a bunch of stuff underneath the tree and in the stockings and what have you. That's been my experience. However, it very easily could happen where some of the luxury retailers end up having a wonderful holiday season. Sam, I mean, I don't know what your thoughts are.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't think you can discount people being more happy with their situation and more comfortable going out and spending money. I mean, debt levels are at lows or short-term lows of what we've seen over the last several years, and people just continue to be doing better. You're seeing wages rise on the low end of the spectrum pretty significantly, and that can translate into serious, purchasing power.
Well, the thing is, I mean, what I noticed was even before Halloween, some of the big box retailers which I frequent, not that I frequent them all that often, had already started putting up their Christmas decorations.
Yep.
And that kind of put a little bit of fear in me. And that sounds kind of crazy, but we're already doing this for Christmas. Holy smoke, I better get my act together. Mm-hmm. And so, like I mentioned, I've already gone out and I've done a fair amount of Christmas shopping already. And most of it's already gotten to the house. It's like, John, my son's Christmas stocking is done. But you know something? I guarantee you that I will end up buying more stuff for the kid between now and Christmas. And it just
You'll probably forget what you bought already.
And I just ordered it over the weekend. I can't even remember. But, Sam, you kind of mentioned that fear, the fear of missing out. Fear can be a very strong incentive in order for people to do stuff. And as that fear subsides, then you get kind of exaltation come in. So you could have very easily both things at play here. And it kind of reminds me of what happened last year, with all the toilet paper, paper goods, all that stuff. Are we really going to go to the bathroom more? Why is this? Why are we running out of this? And my son told me it's because it's scaring the crap out of everyone.
So maybe they did go to the bathroom more.
So that's the reason why. However, it was fear, and the fear of there not being any. And years ago, there was a guy named Johnny Carson, which Sam, you probably know.
I know who Johnny Carson is.
Okay, fair enough. Carson one time said that there was they're running out of toilet paper in Los Angeles as part of a joke, and sure enough, the next day everyone went and loaded up and created a shortage. I'm just a cynical enough guy, conspiracy theorist maybe a little bit, that despite the truth about the supply chain disruptions, maybe I don't know, some folks are taking that a little bit too far to create a little bit of fear here to induce shoppers to go ahead and get at it earlier, and then in hopes that we'll spend even more this year. I mean, do you all feel that could be the case?
Well, do you think it's the media? Do you think it's just just having it on the news that makes people fearful? Is it that we don't have enough going on that they're talking about?
That this is just such a topic that resonates with people. Inflation, first of all, and we've talked about that, but then just supply chain issues. I mean, that impacts people, and people on every end of the spectrum can be impacted by some sort of supply chain issues, whether it's not being able to get something at the store, seeing certain prices skyrocketing because nobody can get it in, and it's just something that impacts everyone. So I think it is something that resonates a lot and is easy for the media to talk about because it's something that sells well.
Kind of along with what you just said, Sam, I mean, it's, perhaps it's the media, perhaps it's us, but I want to ask you all, have you noticed any items which you normally purchase, are they in short supply?
I have not really. I told you, John, I went to Sam's, and they're still doing the limit of one or limit of two of certain things, but for the most part, pretty much everything's been there. I think beginning of COVID, that was really actually an issue, a man-made issue of not being able to get certain goods, but it seems like the retailers are doing a decent job of keeping things in stock now, and that's just my anecdotal kind of experience.
So my experience has not been that. I would say, and it might be just when I'm trying to, because the time that I'm going shopping is probably the higher times, on the weekends and stuff like that, but trying to do a shipped order for Costco, and out of probably, I was trying to spend a lot of money, right? I had probably 20 items, which you can imagine at Costco, that's quite a bit. And I only got 7 of the 20 items. They were out of everything. And the excuse was, oh, well, the ship, or not the ship, but the truck is going to come in next Tuesday. And it was like a Thursday. And I'm thinking, okay, well, they got to go through the whole weekend of not having paper towels, not having just the sausage that we like, basic stuff. And, I will say I do kind of fall into the hoarder, I'll be a hoarder for certain things because I don't like to go without certain things that I like, shocker. Creamer is something, and Lunchables that I have seen directly, and I call them adult Lunchables. So these are not kids Lunchables, but the higher end Lunchables. Those are.
Is there a high?
It's like an oxymoron.
There is. It does exist.
So what is actually in
prosciutto instead of?
What's
It is
come
actually.
on.
It does. It
This
has
is an
prosciutto.
Oscar Mayer Lunchable.
It is, but I think it has a label on it that's supposed to be like organic or something. That it's like a little bit.
But the thing.
That's a
And
weird,
it
I
has
know-
no candy.
I mean, obviously this is all a podcast of asides here today,
Yes.
but I was at the Piggly Wiggly last week, and some dude in front of me, no kidding, Courtney, but he bought 40 Lunchables. Is there just some sort of weird thing going on
There
with
was last year.
Lunchables?
I know there
Well,
was.
I think
it was
Oscar
in the
Mayer is
news.
still having some issues with getting
But
everything out.
I mean, he looked normal. I mean, but.
well,
he's like-
sometimes they do. They do have
Clearly not.
sales.
I mean, when I say 40 Lunchables, I mean 40 Lunchables.
But for some of these issues that you're seeing, and you not being able to get some things at Costco, I said I'm not really experiencing it, but there was a few things last time at Sam's I couldn't
Now
get.
the truth comes out.
But for the most part, it seems like a localized issue to everyone's struggling a little, and there's things that are out at a time. But if I couldn't get it at Sam's, I could walk right next door to the Walmart and get it. It's not like certain things that I've seen are out across the board,
that's
unless
a
it's
good
some unique thing that only one store has, and maybe they're struggling to get it. But for the most part, okay, maybe I have to go to 2 stores instead of 1, but I've gotten and purchased everything that I
But isn't
want.
that frustrating? Like when your time is precious to have to go to store, because that's one thing for me. Target has these adult Lunchables for whatever reason. They have them, but Publix or any other grocery store doesn't have them in stock. And like the creamer that I like, I buy and I have 3. My husband can't stand that I have 3 giant things of creamer because I like a certain kind.
Which type do you like?
I don't want to talk about which type I like because there's
Which
judgment.
the birthday sprinkle one.
No, it's the peppermint mocha, but they put this like giant like chocolate like cupcake on it, and I'm like, it's they make it seem so fattening, but that's just
It
the
is.
kind. Well, that's the kind I like. Not in moderation. Everything in moderation. I'm just saying that
Cream.
that's one example. They were out during COVID, and it was just like, okay, so if I see it, I frantically buy it because it's not always available.
I did that recently with, not creamer. I did that with pearl onions.
Why
I think
are you
that's even
kidding?
more odd than
That's a perishable good.
Well,
They're frozen.
Well, they're frozen.
they're frozen.
Yeah, they're
Okay.
frozen. Listen, I like to cook, and I was making a coq au vin, and you're supposed to use pearl onions with it, and they're hard to find sometimes. But apart from Courtney's inability to find the sausage that her family likes and creamer, what I've noticed, strangely enough, what I've been noticing is, the things that I have found in short supply are generally domestically made stuff, which is strange. I'm not buying a ton of Chinese or Japanese made stuff, but when I go to Sam's, as you've
Yep.
gone to Sam's,
Yep.
there seems to be no shortage of televisions in there.
Yep.
There seems to be no shortage of textiles in there. I mean, they're just bins of just clothes out there in
Yeah.
the middle.
Yep.
However, the last time I went to Sam's, trying to find some chicken breasts, there weren't any. I could
Yep.
buy all the chicken thighs I could want, but there weren't any chicken breasts. So what's weird is we're talking about supply chain disruption, talk about ships off of Long Beach and Los Angeles. What I have found, the stuff that I'm finding in short supply, the stuff we make right here in the U.S. of A. Courtney, your thoughts?
Well, it also seems like you're talking about food, which is more perishable, right? So you're not going to get that necessarily international. But that's why I would think that you would, you're consuming it more rapidly than TVs. I mean, though we have a ridiculous number of TVs in my house, that's, something obviously you're not buying as much.
Well, the last time I tried to eat a TV, it didn't go down very
Yes.
well. Sam, your
I can
thoughts?
imagine.
Yeah. So do you think really, some of the supply chain disruption, is it like just a snowball's effect, Sam?
It's both. I think I think we've used the word perfect storms on several of these podcasts over the last 12 months because really it's been a perfect storm of so many things. Some things crashing, other things rallying, strength in parts of the economy, other parts of the economy were weak, and I think that's what you're seeing. You're seeing a real supply chain issue. I don't think any of us are going to argue. We've looked at the amount of ships outside of Long Beach and LA.
Yeah.
That's a real issue. That's
And
getting
this all
worse.
goes back to labor shortages.
And again, it's a perfect storm of several
Yeah.
issues. I think first off goes back to how strong consumer demand is in the U.S. I mean, we wouldn't be having these issues if no one was buying anything, I don't
Right.
think. But second of all, mismanagement at the ports is something we talked about. Really, we could go on and have a whole nother episode on it, but it's a perfect storm of strong consumer demand and mismanagement in the ports and several other issues.
And yet, Sam, with all this going on and inflation soaring, as we've seen here today with the consumer price index up 6.2% over the last 12 months, the highest level in 31 years, Sam, Courtney, by the way. And even so, with everything that's going on, supply chain disruption, all that stuff, tons of cash out there, maybe the holiday shopping season, people will end up buying double just because fear of missing out and what have you. Sam, Courtney, the U.S. government can borrow money for 30 years at 1.85%. Your thoughts on that, Sam?
Wish I could borrow for 30
I
years at
know,
1.85%.
yes, that'd be nice.
You know, actually, I mean, I got some sort of application in the mail for a 30-year mortgage at like some ridiculous rate.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess in real terms right now, people are having negative mortgage rates.
And I remember when I was getting a mortgage, 4% was pretty good.
Listen, I mean, back in the early 80s, I mean, people would talk about getting mortgages like of double-digit rates. I wasn't getting a mortgage back then. I'm not that old, although, you know, sometimes I come across that way. So sort of at the end, I mean, here we are talking about the holiday shopping season. It's only the second week of November. Courtney, based on what you have seen in the stores, based on what you've heard in the media, are you going to go ahead and knock out as much of it as possible, sort of in fear of not having enough in the stockings underneath the trees?
Oh, yeah.
And what do you think will happen once you get closer to Christmas? You've already done your Christmas shopping season, already done that. Do you think you'll end up buying more for your kids this year than probably last year?
Yes, I do think I will buy more, just based off the fact that I never think we have enough, and I always frantically buy like right before, so that will just be in the store versus ordering as much online. But right now even this morning I was buying the little fidget toys before work of like Amazon, just whatever. I'll just buy
I don't
it.
even know what a fidget toy is.
Little
It's little
popper
poppers.
things.
Yeah, there's
Okay.
a popper, and there's other little things that are like little widgets. But yeah, I mean, whatever, just to kind of help fill the room.
Now, how
right?
about you? How about you, Sam? This fear of missing out here, is it going to cause you to change your consumer behavior?
I haven't had that fear of missing out. You know, my wife's birthday is actually before Christmas, so I was already ordering gifts for that at the end of November, and
Are you
I ordered
serious?
it, and it came 3 days later.
You mean at the end of October?
No, end of November, her birthday.
Oh.
Yeah. So,
Oh, her birthday's
yeah.
in November. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Now,
So,
John,
so I have something, in a couple weeks, not all the way out to Christmas that I'm buying gifts for already, but everything I've bought came in 3 to 5 days. I mean,
That's
kind of,
okay.
yeah, that's pretty
Right.
normal.
Yeah, and so that's what I've experienced too. When I was buying that stuff for my sons for Christmas, and Beth will take care of our daughter. Really, she knows what girls want. I don't know. And I found that really, I mean, I ordered the stuff on Saturday, this past Saturday, and some stuff said estimated delivery time and all that. All of it came yesterday.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, it's just like, okay, you're putting this fear in me, but, it turns out that everything's kind of about the same.
Yeah, I mean, not discounting that it's an issue in some areas and some goods people aren't able to get, but I just haven't. And what I've purchased, I haven't.
I mean, from what I understand, really, I mean, of all this, the fear of missing out for the holiday shopping season, supply chain disruptions, distribution problems in the United States, it seems to be contained to like 4 primary products. One is creamer,
Sausage.
Yeah, the other one is sausage. Then finally, dry beans.
You can
And-
also put in
and-
a Braves T-shirts because I did try to buy Braves T-shirts, which should be coming from Atlanta, right? And maybe.
No.
Okay,
No.
well, whatever. I bought the shirts from the official website, and it took 7 days. So of course I ordered it 5 days before we were going to go
I
see
mean,
a game.
this
and
sounds
I
like
missed
first world problems.
it. It is.
Yeah.
It is.
well, I'm going to the
struggle.
playoff baseball game. Can't get my merchandise.
Yeah, talking about a fair weather fan.
So, really, the more we talk, the more I think, nothing to be scared about, Sam.
I'm not scared.
I am. I'm scared, and I'm buying more now.
I think your husband should be worried about your spending
Yes,
patterns.
yes.
And also the fact you've got 3 huge tubs of peppermint mocha.
Adult Lunchables.
Yep.
Don't watch- Time to grow up, Courtney. So, guys, thank you all so much for listening. We always love to hear from you all. So if you have any comments or questions, please, by all means, let us know. You can always drop us a line at tradingperspectives@oakworth.com, or you can leave us a review on the podcast outlet of your choice. As always, if you're interested in reading more, hearing more of what we have to say or how we think, please go to oakworth.com and take a look underneath the Thought Leadership tab for all kinds of awesome information. With that, I'm going to give you guys last chance.
That's all I got.
That's it.
That's it for me today, too. Y'all take care.